Several years ago, I got broken up with by my then ex-girlfriend. We had been together for almost 10 years, pretty much a decade. So, I had a lot of history with this person. And even though I knew we had dysfunction, I had a lot of fear around what I felt like I would lose. I was afraid to be without her. And when she told me it was over, and this time I really knew that she meant it. We finally pulled this trigger and ended it. And it sent shockwaves of fear and anger through my body. And of course, in the following weeks or months, I had a lot to let go of. My life had suddenly drastically changed from being around someone a lot and having that company, that companionship. And when things were bad, I thought, well, at least I have someone around though. And this person knows me the best. And so we'll always have each other and we'll always work it out. And now, no one, alone, left just with my thoughts. Thoughts about how could she do this to me? How could she leave me? Why can't she see that we could have got through this? How could she just chuck everything away so easily? How could she chuck me away so easily? And then, okay, well, what did I do wrong then? What is wrong with me? What am I going to do now? I have bills to pay, which I might not be able to pay now. How could she so easily leave me in this mess? And it was a whole world of me, left alone with my thoughts, left to ruminate, hypothesize, play mental movies of the past in my head and disappear into cognitive landscapes about what could have been, what someone else apparently should have done, how I could have apparently done better, and what terrible things might be in my life soon because of what happened to me. I am in this situation. I don't want to be in it. I don't want anything to do with what I've created here. That's what was in my head. Moody thunder. So I know letting go can seem hard because many of us enter a life where a situation just seemingly escalates out of nowhere that radically changes things, and it shocks us. We lose someone does something we feel is unjust or utterly heinous. Perhaps they do it to someone else, or perhaps they do it to us, and we're regretful that they left us with this thing to wrestle with and to deal with. We have this idea of ourselves in our heads, this concept of ourselves with all of these other concepts tied to it about our past, about things that have happened in our life, interpretations around why they happened, what our values are and what our value is to others, and the way we think other people see us, this self-concept that arises as thoughts, and we identify with those thoughts. We believe ourselves to be the sense of self in those thoughts. And when some significant change happens in our lives, like we lose someone or something, or we experience something being taken away from us, or ourselves being limited some kind of way, we feel a feeling too, a sense of discomfort that's associated with those thoughts. It's those uncomfortable feelings, that psychological pain, that also catalyzes an even stronger identification with the thoughts. The feelings, the sensations in the body say, these thoughts are important, these thoughts are about you. And because you feel yourself to be the sense of self in the thoughts, and because that sense of self you believe yourself to be is harmed or diminished in some way by the events that have happened, you experience yourself to feel harmed or diminished because you believe yourself to be the one in the story who's harmed or diminished when you don't realize that you are not your thoughts. Because that's what I had to do. What was I going to do? Sit there believing myself to be that Alex in the story whose girlfriend dumped him because of all the embarrassing things that happened in the relationship, feel tortured by believing myself to be that Alex in a story where he's being tortured by the fallout of a relationship collapse and be forever hard done by it. I've seen other people doing that. I didn't want anything to do with it. You see, when you don't let go, it means you keep holding on. And what are you holding on to? You're holding on to a story in your mind through your identification with it. The story perpetuates itself because you give attention to it, not realizing that you're not really the I in the story, in the thoughts. You're really the I who knows them. You're not the sense of self in the thoughts. That's a concept. You're not a concept. You're the awareness within which concepts arise. Try this in your experience right now. Think something about yourself. Essentially, become aware that you're aware of some thought about you. Are you the one in the thought or the one who's aware of the thought? Are you the thought or the awareness within which the thought arises? The reason I'm asking you this isn't to try to get you to believe anything, but to realize something through your experience, to try to catalyze a deeper investigation into who you really are, because that's the only way to truly let go. To realize that letting go isn't so much something you do, more so that it is who you already essentially are. That whatever you essentially are is already at peace, is already accepting, and doesn't need to let go because it wasn't holding on to anything in the first place. It's the space that form arises within. It's the awareness that your experience arises within. It's you. And when you realize this, you realize that what you essentially are cannot be harmed by anything that happened in your past or by any thoughts about it. That throughout all of this experience, what you essentially are as awareness is peace, because you are the peaceful, formless space within which all experience has passed through. And even after everything that's passed through you as this aware spaciousness, it's still left in absolute pristine condition. And as you realize this, you begin to have thoughts and beliefs that are in line with this deeper understanding. You realize you are free to relax and let go of identification with old stories that don't serve you anymore. That the past is the past, that you have either learned from the past or you can learn from it with a curiosity and a knowledge that ultimately brings you to a deeper understanding of your reality and ultimately a deeper understanding of yourself. And that you can, with patience and kindness and compassion for yourself, learn to forgive those who you feel harmed you, as you realize any repetitive useless thoughts about your life situation are useless to you, that the thoughts aren't essential to who you really are. And that is the functional thing to do. It's to become aware of the present. And when the time is right and that impulse arises, try your best to do whatever is the best reflection of the peace and love that you know yourself to be. The peace that you know yourself to be at the deepest level when you're internally still and listen to the inner voice that arises out of the stillness, you realize that you can learn to forgive yourself, as you realize that unforgiveness for yourself perpetuates a useless story in your mind and generates unnecessary suffering. You realize that you can just be with the feelings that are present, and even if they're uncomfortable, they will eventually dissolve by the light of your awareness, and that who you are as awareness cannot be ultimately harmed by these feelings. You see clearly that this formless spaciousness that you are cannot ultimately be harmed by even the most intense feelings that appear within the space, that the space is untouched by the form, and that the form is ultimately transient and will morph and dissipate as it has always done and always will, that this too shall pass through you, not you going through it. That's not your experience. Go to your actual experience. It, in the form of thoughts and feelings, is passing through you, is passing through the space, is passing through formless awareness, and that you are the space, you are the awareness. It's what you essentially are, and cannot ultimately be harmed by anything that appears within you, appears within what is already wide open, formless, spacious, surrendered, accepting, and any concepts of holding on to, letting go, just melt away. Letting go is the end of the story, the beginning of a new chapter, and there may be something that you feel you should do to fully close that chapter in some way. That's the best reflection of the peace and love that you are. Be that expressing forgiveness, apologizing, telling the truth, having a discussion that promotes understanding, doing something as an act of reconciliation, or perhaps even doing nothing and simply moving on, which is often the best thing to do. When you stay in the realization of who you essentially are, you'll know what actions are appropriate and which are designed to serve the ego and therefore will perpetuate the suffering. If you do end up doing anything, you do it not to serve a separate sense of self in your mind, not to try and convince yourself or anyone else that you're more right or more forgiving or more virtuous, and then source a false sense of satisfaction from that. And not because you feel you need closure, because you feel like you need closure to be okay and you'll always want more of it, and that cycle just continues. No, you realize that closure automatically happens when you know the concept of closure to just be that, exactly, a concept, a thought in your mind within your awareness, within you, because you are this awareness, and this awareness can never be diminished by these thoughts. You're deeper than that. You are the space. These thoughts depend on you as awareness. Awareness is spaciousness. Spaciousness is peace. You are peace. You are love. So, with that being said, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it might reveal a deeper level of peace in your life. And by the way, a few more slots have opened up for the free one-to-one with me to see if you would be a good fit for the Consciousness Revolution program over at speaktoalex.com. In this program, I will personally coach you to become deeply present, which means you'll have access to new levels of inner peace, calm, clarity, and confidence. I will personally support you in finding a new, deeper understanding of yourself and your life situation so that you can take empowered action, which means you'll manifest and create more of what you want in your life sooner, be that health, wealth, or relationship goals. It starts with a quick 10-minute chat just about what's personally coming up for you and where you want to go, to see if my services are the best fit for you, and if so, take it from there. So if that speaks to you, just head over to speaktoalex.com and book a time for us to chat. And with that being said, please like and share this video. It helps to spread this message. Also, get engaged in the comments below. I read as many as I can. And if you want to be notified of all the new videos coming, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos helping you with conscious personal growth. Peace.